Welcome, my friends of the interwebs. I think I'm gonna call this video "Pink on Pink" or "Pink versus Pink." These are two of the pink knives out there. Most of you know that when you see a pink knife, it has to do with the fact that these knives support breast cancer research or funding of breast cancer charities of some sort. I guess I shouldn't say most of you know that. Maybe some of you don't know that. But a percentage of the sales from these knives go to those things. This is a Spyderco, and this is the Benchmade. As you can see, they're both pink, but slightly different shades of pink. Now, I'm not a great knife reviewer. You know, nobody's going to confuse me with any of the great knife reviewers on YouTube. But I can give you some basics as far as my feelings about them go. This knife you can pick up at Amazon. I just checked for about 55 bucks. Some places had it as much as 60. This knife, as you know, I paid $79.99. Okay, now that was retail and that was at a store. However, if you look at what you can buy them for online and then add shipping to them, it's not too awfully much more, you know. And I do like buying from stores. Don't get me wrong, I'm all about buying online, but there is something to be said for being able to touch something before you actually take it home, you know. Now, some people don't mind sending stuff back. Once I get something in the mail, I typically never do send it back, just the way I am. Okay, some of you Benchmade fans got mighty butt hurt over my, I guess, somewhat review of, not that it was a review, but my opinion piece that I did on this mini Griptilian, the pink mini Griptilian. I will tell you that when I bought this knife, it's been a while now. I made the video really fairly quickly after I got the knife, and I didn't post the video for probably close to a month. So my attitudes about this knife have changed somewhat, not drastically, but the attitude changes has nothing to do with people whining and crying and being butthurt because they're Benchmade fanboys. Just getting that out there. Some of my good friends on YouTube, Benchmade fanboys. So it's not a personal slam. I'm just saying. Yeah, okay. Do I still think this knife is overpriced? Yes, I do. I think it's overpriced. But not drastically, not as much as I originally thought. I still think this knife would be great for 50 bucks. If this was a $50 knife, man, I'd be bragging on it all day long. Or even a $55 knife, such as this. But let's check these out. I'm going to try to back this up just a little bit. Now listen, I'm going to start out with the Spyderco. Well, actually, I'll do Spyderco and then Benchmade in order. The scales, both scales actually, are fiberglass, are FRN, fiberglass reinforced nylon. Both of them. The Spyderco has a little bit more of a grip around it than the Benchmade does. Different locks, obviously. Which, by the way, some people will argue that that's why this costs so much more because of the lock, and maybe so. You know, maybe so. The Spyderco opens, deploys. I'm not a big fan of it. Okay. Now watch how you close this. That's the way I close it, at least. If you want to close it one-handed, that's the way I do it. The way this is reset in here, not my favorite Spyderco. The Spyderco Native is not my favorite Spyderco. I've got short, fat thumbs, and to dig my finger in there to be able to flip it open, see, you know, it doesn't really deploy great. You really need to put some wrist into it if you want it to deploy fast. I don't like that. Versus, okay, the mini Griptilian, which, don't get me wrong, is not as good as like a spring assisted, but it does deploy pretty decent. And the locking system is, you know, superior to that of the Spydercos in as far as ease of use for closing one-handed. Okay, that's a whole lot easier. Now, I only say superior in that sense. I do not mean that it is a stronger lock. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay. All right. Let's open both of these up. All right. As far as the blades go, they're pretty much, well, I think as far as usable parts of the blade, they're pretty much the same size. The Spyderco has a little bit more width to it. than the Griptilian does, than the Benchmade does. But if you look at, and like I said, I'm not a professional, I'm not a knife geek, so this is actually pretty much tapered down, but evenly, than whereas this is thick here and then tapers down here. I don't know if that makes a big difference to people or not. It doesn't to me. Now, the one thing that I think the Spyderco Native is superior on, in my opinion, is if you look at the two knives side by side, you can actually put your finger here, and the jimping on the Spyderco Native is incredible. I mean, it's just like, it just locks your finger to the blade. Whereas the jimping on the Griptilian, the mini Griptilian, is not that great, you know. And here's the thing, you can get your finger on the Spyderco and really get in there and do some delicate work or some tough work. Whereas this, you're the best grip you can get's down here. That's it. So kudos to Spyderco Native for that design, because I really liked it. And that's not gonna, your finger's not going to slip off of that, believe it or not. It's a nice lip there. Between that lip and that jimping, you're going to feel pretty confident that you can do whatever it is that you feel the need to do with that knife, and be okay with it. Whereas the mini Griptilian, not so much. Don't get me wrong. You know, they're both smallish knives. Although the Spyderco does seem bigger, though it's really not. This is not a bad knife, but it just doesn't give you that delicate ability of being able to put your, in that, it just doesn't. And if you feel the jimping on this, you'll know what I'm talking about as far as the jimping goes. The clip, let's talk about clips here, pocket clips. I have EDC'd this mini Griptilian for a couple weeks. Okay, maybe 2.5 weeks, and I hate this pocket clip. It's very rough on my pockets. In fact, I have one pair of pants where it actually shredded the pocket a bit, just from being a day of where I had to take the knife in and out of it maybe a dozen times, and it was really taking a toll on my pants. The Spyderco clip, though, you wouldn't think, because if you look at the mini Griptilian clip, it goes up like that. You wouldn't think that would be a concern compared to if you look at the Spyderco clip, where it actually goes down. But I've EDC'd this, and maybe because this isn't as tight, it just isn't as hard on the pants. It's just not. I don't know why that is, but it just isn't. You would think that it would be harder on your pant pocket, but the fact of the matter is that, and maybe after a while this thing would loosen up a little bit, it wouldn't be so bad, but this is tight, and it really was taking a toll on my pants. That is, I know, important to some people, because I've seen people talk about it a lot. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you know, both knives are equally as sharp. Now, this is a Mel Purdue design, and it has a lot of fans. And, you know, it is, listen, this is a really good knife. It really is. I really enjoy the knife. And quality-wise, when you talk, you know, this is my last video, I was like, well, I don't see the quality. The fact of the matter is that this is really a quality. This is a quality knife. And like I said, if it was $50, I'd be bragging on it non-stop. This is a quality knife too. Definitely not saying it's not, but you can definitely, well, I don't want to say definitely. This is a much better price point. I have a hard time saying anything bad about the Spyderco because it was much closer to a reasonable price range. It's got decent steel. It's made in the USA, Golden, Colorado, USA Earth. I love that. I'm always willing to pay a little bit more for that. Okay, a little bit more. Just not, you know, $20 more. You know, that's just kind of what I'm saying. Maybe I overpaid for this. There were people who suggested that I overpaid for this knife, and maybe I did. You know, that's very, very possible. Maybe this is something that I probably could have gotten online for closer to $60. If that would have been the case, even with shipping, it would have still been much more reasonable and much, you know, much better. But I still think it's a $50 knife. I know that pisses people off that are Benchmade fans, but I really do feel this is a $50 knife. Even made in the United States. I mean, Spyderco makes tons of knives in the United States, and they're reasonable and then comparable. These two knives, regardless of what you think, are actually comparable to one another. This does have a superior locking feature in the sense that, like I said, you know, that's nice, and it does deploy a lot nicer for sure. This blade is just a better design. In fact, I would love to see this locking feature on this knife, and the pivot, because this pivot, you know, this is just not a real fluid knife to open up, whereas the Benchmade is. It is, and it's a fluid knife to close. So, anyway, as far as pink on pink goes, or pink against pink goes, I really do consider both these knives to be reasonably equal in abilities and reasonably equal in everything except for price. And in that I give the value definitely to the Spyderco. But I do like that mini Griptilian. I really do. I really like it. It's a nice knife. I think that if you could maybe get a better clip for it. If anybody out there has mini Griptilians, you got any advice on the clips, let me know. Yeah, for sure. So anyway, it is what it is. I'm starting to cough and the cricket's going crazy on me, so I'm gonna let you go. But listen, I do like this. Please don't hate on me anymore. Benchmade boys, fanboys, whatever. Anyway, I'll just say this: Spyderco for the win, but you know what? Mini Griptilian for the win also, because they're both supporting the titties. You gotta love that. Anyway, everybody, take care. See ya.